Hey guys, welcome to another painting walkthrough. This is a bit of a special one today because it's actually a DTIYS, do this in your style challenge from Sam Yang. Or if you follow him on Instagram, Sam Does Arts. And these are his two characters, Cara and Bruce. It's the first time I've ever done a do this in your style challenge. I'm not so much a portrait painter, or at least I'm not at the time of recording this video. So it was not just a challenge. It was for me. It was a huge task because you'll know if you look at my previous stuff that I often paint a lot of cityscapes and things like that, and that's where I'm most comfortable. And when it comes to doing detail on faces, I'm much better at having it quite rough and far away and more abstract. But this I really had to challenge myself because I thought, okay, he's got the characters here quite large, so I need to kind of do something with them. And me being me, try to do something different that stands out. I decided to turn the cat into a human. Not the best of ideas, and it actually stands in my way quite a bit. And it does change later actually. Here I'm trying to copy her pose, but instantly, if you know the way I paint, I like to just lay down marks on the page. And then see what it looks like and then roll with it. And so the way I'd painted the head was at a completely different angle. Almost, in this case, it looks like the head is going beyond its normal range of motion. It looks like it's almost going, past that 90 degree or even more turn in a very unnatural position. And even though I've got the body in a similar kind of position there, that the head just doesn't work. So I do remedy that later. So I'm just getting in the values here. Just trying to get the light and dark in there. I did use the color picker, so I didn't go with any of my color palettes. I used the color picker to pick the main colors from Sam's image on the right there. But as you can see, my skin tones are very different. There's something very much more desaturated about it, and I think that's because I can't say exactly why. It was just a decision I made, but it does lend itself to being a little bit more realistic because I like to draw human forms a little bit more with a bit more realism, whereas Sam's gone with a much more kind of a caricature, kind of a cartoony look. So I thought, well, it's do this in your style, so I might as well do it in the way that I'm a bit more confident. You can see here I realised that the body was completely wrong, so I turned the body around, and somehow I don't know where this bottle of this carton of Coke or whatever comes out of the blue. I must have had a McDonald's that day, so it must have been on my mind. But I did like, again, just laying down paint in a new position. I started to see that that looks like a shoulder that's lifting up there, and so I kind of went with that. And I rolled with that posture, and I actually started to really like the posture. That's probably I've got to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this painting. I don't think I did the best job, and I think comparing it to Sam's is a very difficult thing as well because his image is absolutely beautiful. It's really well done, and because I was constantly comparing, I was constantly not able to see mine for what it was. So that was a struggle. However, I do really like the posture that I've changed it to. I think it really works, and it does feel quite natural. Head was a little bit big there, so I shrunk it a little bit just to bring it more into proportion. At this stage, it was kind of reminding me of those old sort of, I don't know if you see them in the US, but I know definitely know in the UK, you kind of saw these seaside paintings of people on the beach, and it had this very particular style. And this is what this was looking like to me, the style of the painting. So the character didn't look real enough for me, and so I do end up starting messing around a lot more. So the face does change quite a bit there. I do apologise about the noise outside. There's someone crying really loudly in someone's garden out there. So I tried to put a hairband in here. That also didn't work. I think this is a lot of this is the problem of me. It's kind of my technique really, which it does give a lot of creative freedom, and I really enjoy doing it. But sometimes just going in and painting on the page and seeing what happens it really means you're going in without a plan. And so you're constantly fiddling and messing around. And obviously you saw I didn't actually even do a sketch on this one, which I don't often do anyway. So everything is just like, I think I've mentioned this before, it's kind of like a ball of clay. And I'm just molding and messing around with it until it starts to look like something that I like. Luckily, thankfully, I completely got rid of that cat in the background. It was really holding the piece back. See, I'm just starting to flesh out the t-shirt, the shapes and the form of it, or the vest. Sorry, because it's a black vest. The difficulty is trying to get the sort of the contours of the body right with the shading and the light, and not overdoing it as well. Trying to get the detail of the neck right, and I think overdoing it a little bit there. You can see I completely reshaped the face here, just completely decided to draw over it. And if you look at that, it really does look like a ball of clay. I talk about this quite a lot, but it does look like a ball of clay. And I just start molding it in. And this time I've got, I had a picture nearby, a photo I'd taken of my wife, and I kind of used that as a reference because I knew I was really struggling with it, and I thought I'm not going to be able to know where the shadow and the light and everything falls, so I'm going to refer to this picture. It was just on my desk, so I obviously apologise for not bringing it up on the screen. But it did help with the position, with the features and the pose really. Getting the eyes in place. And one thing I've learned about skin tones is you can pick the sort of generic skin tone, which is kind of somewhere on the scale of your oranges. But what can happen is it looks very lifeless, or almost like it's like dead. And actually what you need to do is bring in a little bit of red, because there's blood underneath our skin. And so when you bring in that little bit of red, it starts to look alive. And that it kind of separates it from a lot of paintings where they're just going with a very like one particular colour. And it stops it from looking cartoonish in some cases as well. And if you actually look at Sam's image there, you can see he's clearly used that technique. So he's got that one tone, but then he's brought in those very warm reds in just to bring in that blood under the skin, which starts to make it feel alive. You can see that one thing I haven't done right here, even though I've kind of got the teeth showing, and I suppose that the lips, the shape of the lips, what I haven't got right is the shape of the face. It's a very different face. It is a do this in your style, so I can sort of, I suppose, take a bit of creative freedom there, but not really how I would have liked to have done it. The difficulty really is the fact that the character on the right, which is Sam's, I think the character's name is Kara. She's got a cartoony face and an overly large head, so it wouldn't look realistic. It works in that particular style, but for mine, if I was trying to emulate that shape completely, it wouldn't look right on trying to make the human like a realistic human. And so there was my difficulty, was trying to translate that shape to a real person, because it can be done, but I just wasn't able to do it. Start to get the cat in here, just leaning over the shoulder, because I think it just wouldn't have felt right anywhere else on this one. You can see because I had the character leaning as well, I had to somehow create something for her to lean on. I'm not quite sure what it is. Maybe it's a wall or something. There's very much a summer beach vibe to this painting, which it really had this sort of a California feel to it. I think a lot more actually than Sam's painting on the right. I think it's kind of using that primer brush to do that sky is just giving it much more of a summery beach feel, sunset feel near a beach. Maybe that's just me, the way I'm looking at it. Whereas I think Sam's image doesn't necessarily look like it's by a beach. Here you see I use the same reference for the cat that I used on the last painting. Just the head, twisted the head a little bit just to angle it up, and then drew the feet in there and just sort of painted it in. Quite happy with that cat actually. Still the face looking a little bit like a doll, a little bit lifeless and static. So I do improve that. It's getting a few birds in here and there. Surprisingly hard to draw birds actually like that. They can end up just looking like like blotches on the paper. So getting them right and getting that variety in their wing position. If you can see, there's 3 birds with their wings up, and then there's 1 bird with the wings down. So it's not as simple as just jotting them in. Rolling with that beach theme, you'll see I start to add a bit of water here. That's definitely where you can get that California beach vibe from this. Start to play with the hair a little bit more. Lips start turning them to look a lot more lifelike now. Getting the hair in, and actually the hair is probably my proudest bit of this painting, actually, because it actually looks very realistic, probably a little bit too realistic, but I'm starting to understand how to paint hair. Just positioning the lips a little bit better and the teeth in there. I think I redo them a little bit as well. In fact, I've got the feeling I completely repaint over them. There we go. So these lips look a lot more lifelike now. They look like they belong to a real person. Getting the position of that eye right as well. That's one difficulty of doing this. This perspective is the eye furthest away can't just be the same size. Has to be a different size. Something I don't think I got right on this painting. I think it should have been smaller and curved a little bit off towards the distance, whereas it kind of looks like it's head on. So that's something I could have improved. Getting that really unique shadow that he's got in his painting as well, just bringing that into this one, where it's that kind of almost like a straight shadow across the center of the character. I think it really works on the bottle, the carton of Coke or whatever it is that she's holding in her hand. That difference between light and dark and that glow really works. I think on the body is where it's not working. In my picture, I think the difficulty was actually the warmth in the shadows as well that I couldn't get right. And I think it's also because there was a black t-shirt. So again, it's confidence really. And I think I talk about this a lot. It's just confidence to say it's going to be light here, it's going to be dark here. See, I got rid of the headband, so I'm just painting a bit of shadow towards the bottom of the hair. It's that point where it meets the head. Still playing around with the values on the vests, not completely happy with it. Actually very happy with the background. So I don't normally, if you look at any of my paintings, I don't normally leave that much of my primer brush on show. It's normally just something underneath. But in this case, I think it created a really nice painterly sky. And so I left it in. Trying to add more detail here, so I sort of sketch over it. That was one thing. I'd gone away and I'd come back and I thought, what's not making it work? And I felt like it was just a bit of separation, so I started sketching over the top. Starting to add a bit more detail to the hands now. Didn't want them to be overly detailed, and that's not for not wanting to draw hands like a lot of artists do. Sometimes me being one of them, but I definitely don't want to leave hands out. It's something I do want to get better at. So I did try to add more detail to them. Trying out and playing around with the colour of the sky using my oil brush and my mixer brush there. Doesn't entirely work, so I sort of take it back to where it was. One of the things that happened here was, if you remember, I just said a minute ago, I really loved the sky where it was. When you don't give yourself enough perspective on something, you can change it before you realise how good it is. And I think I'd played with that sky far too early. Far too early. Not giving me enough time to appreciate that it is actually a nice sky. And I think I've lost some of that strong warmth from the sky in the background now. And that really came from constantly looking back at Sam's image, even though it's not up on the screen anymore. I did sort of go away, look at it on my phone, and sort of think, why is mine not working the way his works? And I think that's a mistake in doing a DTIYS. Is it DTIYS challenge? is the constant comparing to the original image. And actually, what you should do is look at it as a guide, and then just go with your own sort of feeling and gut. So there you go. There was the original, and there's there's mine, and there's the original. Sorry. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.